by the time that I started to open my mouth, millions of cells in your body have died. It's a natural thing, but you are literally covered with death. Fingernails, hair, the outermost layer of your skin are all made out of dead things. And you are constantly losing these dead things, like right now. Every week, about 7 grams of your dead skin sheds off from your body. A recent research showed that 80% of the dust you see indoor in your house is human dead skin. Okay, enough of dead stuff. We human mostly are made out of living stuff. We are a biological machine which burns food energy in order to talk and to do whatever we're doing right now. Your cells are busy and active and are dividing rapidly, millions and millions of each times a day. But the most mind-blowing thing is not the cell division, it's the replication of instructions. Each daughter cell requires an exact copy of 3 billion nucleotides. That's a lot. Luckily, our body are perfectly happy to do it, but they're not perfect. Each time a cell in your body divides, the enzyme that synthesizes your DNA makes around 120,000 mistakes. Some of them turn out to be beneficial. On the other hand, they're harmful. But some of them are also neutral, meaning that they're no different. But if a mistake, a mutation in the cell's DNA, causes the cell to move abnormally and to stimulate its own growth, ignore all the signals to stop, stimulate the body to provide its own blood supply, basically multiplying forever and invading other organs, tissues, it's another type of cell. There are over 200 diseases, varies from nature and origin, that can match this description. Despite them being called different, we call them by one name. It's cancer. So after billions of dollars and years of research, why haven't we cured cancer? If every tumor worked the same way, we would probably by now have the miracle that we really need. But cancer may look the same from the outside, but each one is developed differently, and they can start from any type of tissue. So, basically, we can't cure cancer because it's not a single disease. If we want to cure cancer, we have to take down all of cancer, one at a time. In able to do that, what is cancer? We, people, tend to think cancer as a disease because we have only one name for it. But cancer really refers to a group of conditions but with a few similarities. And one of the most common similarities in every single cancer is uncontrollable cell growth. It all starts when there's a small change in your gene. And no matter how it starts or what causes it to start, the ending result will always be cells growing out of hand and invading nearby tissues. But each cancer works differently. It's basically a different disease every time, and not every cancer will progress in the same way. Mainly because cancer is caused by a different set of genetic mutation. Genes, which are made out of DNA, act as instructions for us to make molecules such as protein. We are basically made out of proteins. But mutation changes those instructions, and that's where stuff starts to go wrong. All of your genes, every cell, contains 2 copies of the tumor suppressor. If one copy is mutated, the other one just can't work as fine as it could. Often, when one tumor suppressor is mutated, it tends to not work anymore. And because of that, the other copy loses the DNA and loses the copy of itself. With that being said, with one being mutated and the other one being deleted, the tumor suppressor isn't there anymore. So nothing can stop the growth of cancer. There can be thousands of possible mutations of cell, which is partly why the drug might not have an effect on a person when it's proved effective in the lab. Every tumor will follow a unique genetic path, which makes it hard for doctors to know where to aim at. So how can we find out the cure? One of the most known ways to deal with cancer, kind of cut it out, sounds very simple, but it's not always possible. But when it's possible, scientists proved that the cancer cells tends to come back. So we move on to plan B, radiation. We send a treatment which is so toxic, it will basically destroy every dividing cell, including the cancerous or the non-cancerous one. Radiation can tear DNAs to shreds, which can help you that cancers can no longer divide. Another way of dealing with cancer is chemotherapy. It's a well-known way, but it has some very nasty side effects. For example, hair loss and digestive problems. I think this is going to change because there are new ways how we can approach cancer. One of our newest weapons in fighting cancer has been refined by biologists for over a decade: genome sequencing. Scientists can now sequence different types of cancer and also find out how, when, and where the genes are mutated. And they can use that information and predict if the medicine has an effect on this typical type of disease or not. Instead of shooting tons of radiation to your body, we now have another way to treat with cancer with each person individually, using personalized medicine. The two projects which took a huge leap in this approach is Cancer Genome Project and their Cancer Cell Line Encyclopedia. They have tested different kind of cancers and different kind of drugs on a bigger scale. And they have concluded that certain drugs are more effective on the disease than another one. Some drugs might work well for brain cancer and some might not work at all for stomach cancer, for instance. They can also predict the effectiveness of a drug on a person. So now, we don't have to shoot in the dark anymore. We have a bright light, at least in theory. The biggest problem we have right now with personalized medicine is that these two projects came with a different result. They treated the same cancer cell with the same treatment, but the results were different. So even though they were somehow identical, they would somehow react differently with the exact same drugs. So we can't count on personalized medicine for now. But besides those small mistakes which we're going to fix, this is one of the most promising leads we have right now in facing cancer. So it's true, we haven't found one cure for cancer yet. But that's the question wrongly asked. There's no cancer to cure. There are so many of cancer that we have to cure. And to wrap this all up, I just want to say that we have gone far, really far. We have found preventions and treatments in order to kill those cancer cells, or at least slow it down. We have found theories and new ideas discussed right now. And I just want to tell you that one day in the bright future, we will win this battle. And I'll be the one who's going to take part in this fight. I don't want to stand and watch how cancer destroys a person's life. I don't want to watch and see how cancer kills a person's life. Because of what cancer did to me and to my loved one, I will be the one who's going to change it. And to say to all of our future cancer patients, we have won.